Before we get on with the show, I want to give the subscribers that have subscribed to me this last week a huge thank you. The subs are going up gradually as I go along, and I do appreciate everyone that is subscribed to me and that is following what I do. It is not an easy task to get to where you think you want to be or where your goals should be met. But I am thankful for every sub that comes my way. So please understand that I do appreciate all the subs that come my way. The show today is going to be an extra edition. So usually my last upload is Saturday. I take Sunday off, and I didn't want to do another show tomorrow. So let's go on with the intro, and then let's move on with the show. I will see you in just a couple of minutes.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
This is Pillar to Post. And we are back. This is Pillar to Post. It is April 15th, 2017, and I would love to welcome you to the laundry room. This is Pillar to Post headquarters, the family laundry room, where this guy does not bother the rest of his family with the podcast. Like I said at the top of the show, I do appreciate all the new subscribers that have come my way. Continue to share and like and subscribe to these videos. It is a hard thing to get yourself known out in the world of YouTube. And I'm starting to get there. I've had some help with some others, so it is nice to have. Now, the show, like I said, is extra. But before we get into the news, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to check out the description, because in the description you're going to find out how you can support me on Patreon. And everyone that joins Patreon on my Patreon becomes a patron will become eligible for some rewards. Now it depends on how much you pledge. $1 and I believe $5 will get you, just like your name mentioned on the show, as a patron. And you go up higher to $20 and you will automatically be enrolled in a monthly draw where you could win Pillar to Post merchandise as well as Circle of Steel merchandise. I will talk about Circle of Steel merchandise in a little while, Probably on, maybe I'll do a video tomorrow about it. Pillar to Post merchandise is a new line I am coming out with. Right now, up there is, if you pledge $50 to my Patreon, you will automatically get a Pillar to Post hoodie. At $30, I believe it is, you will automatically get a signed copy of my novel, Dragon's Kin, The Circle of Steel Chronicles, book number 1, and it will be sent out to you. But that is only if you pledge. Also, if you become a patron, you will get these videos 12 hours earlier. Extra videos, and Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday covering the wrestling shows, those will automatically be uploaded to YouTube. They will not have ads attached to them. But from Thursday to Saturday, that will be what is uploaded to Patreon. That is what will be have adverts on, and you will have to be a patron to get those at 12 hours earlier. You can also find me on Twitter at Mordecai Fallon. I will have it also in the description. And also how to find me on social media in whole. Facebook, my Facebook pages, you name it, it'll be down there. I also want to give a shout out to a new podcaster that has recently contacted me. We're trying to figure out how to work together to do a show. And that is Heavyweight Mark. I will have his YouTube page link, our channel link, in the description as well today. I tried to have it last week, I couldn't find it. So this week I do have it, and I will make sure it is in the description. I do not mind helping out a newcomer to the show. I am new as well, so why not help the others? Moving on. We're going to get straight into the news today. I'm not going to run down what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to go step by step. And as you know, this is a wrestling podcast. I bring you news, rumors, reviews, results, and reactions to all things that are WWE. I plan on getting into a little bit more later down the road, but this is what I'm starting off with. I hope you guys enjoy it. Continue to watch. And I'll try and make it as interesting as possible. And if I don't, you need to leave a comment on there and tell me, get my fucking head out of my ass. Let's move on. Kurt Angle on Roman Reigns being pushed way too fast, as well as current WWE stars. Now, Kurt Angle spoke with Washington's Top News and discussed a wide range of wrestling topics. Here are just some of the highlights. He discusses Roman Reigns first. His thoughts on Roman Reigns. He goes, I love him. The issue with Roman is he was utilized and pushed way too fast. Well, no fucking shit there. When you skip the US title, Intercontinental title, the King of the Ring, and go right straight to the top, fans don't like it. No, we don't, because tradition speaks, you earn your way to the path to the top. He did not earn anything in our eyes. He was pushed and shoved down our fucking throat, and we stand up for ourselves and what we like. And this fucking tool doesn't belong in the spotlight yet because the fucker can't even wrestle properly. Moving on. Half the fans love him. Bullshit. Maybe a quarter, and they're all children and women that think they're going to get in his pants. Same with John Cena. When Cena came in, Vince pushed the hell out of him, and the fans were like, gosh dang. That is Kurt Angle's words, not mine. This guy's invincible. I hate him. And yes, we hated him. We still do, but we respect him a little bit more now. If Vince waits it out a bit, fans will start to accept Roman Reigns, and if they don't, then turn him heel. That is good advice. A lot of us podcasters have been saying it for months now. Turn the motherfucker heel, because he does not belong as a babyface. The fans don't consider him a babyface. Look at this past Monday. The fans were chanting as he was getting attacked by Braun Strowman, you deserve it. Now, if that doesn't scream, turn that motherfucker heel, then I don't know. I really don't know anymore. Now, he's got some thoughts on current WWE stars. And he goes on to say, seeing the talent in Cesaro and Kevin Owens. I love the kid. I'm a huge fan of him. What he can do for a guy his size and how he's able to move around the way he does. He defies the laws of gravity. There are a lot of talents that I'd love to wrestle. Dolph Ziggler is one. Seth Rollins is another. But as far as reminding me of myself, that Chad Gable kid, he's a little bit undersized, but damn can he go. I'm right along with Angle here. Chad Gable, a freaking just star to be born, man. Even if he sticks it out in the tag team division, if the tag team division is pushed the way it is supposed to be pushed, like they did back in the day, that tag teams were more important than singles wrestling, Chad Gable has got a bright future. If something were to happen where they actually split the American Alpha up, this guy could go it alone. I know he could. He's got the talent to. I'd love to see Kurt Angle and him go. I'd love to see Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins face Angle. I'd love to see a lot of people wrestle Kurt Angle. It's all depending on what's going to happen with Kurt Angle's medical testing, his other testing, the drug testing and all that they do. We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be 2018 before we know for sure if we're going to see Angle in a WWE ring again. And he goes on to talk about Vince McMahon wanting Kurt to debut as a heel. Kurt Angle says, I disagreed with him. I told him it's not going to work. I won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. People are going to love me. And Vince said, no, they're going to hate your guts. And he was right. We hated his guts. He knew it, and he enjoyed it. He embraced it. That is not what a lot of guys do these days. They don't embrace the hate. And it isn't a bad hate. It's a heel hate. Heel hate is far different than actually hating somebody. We don't hate Roman Reigns. We hate the way he's been pushed. We hate the way he's been crammed down our throat. We hate the way that he's been handled. We don't hate the man. We hate the push behind the man. Put it that way. A little bit more about Roman Reigns. And I got a couple of topics about Roman Reigns today. And one will be concerning a certain petition that went out to have Braun Strowman fired, which I discussed in a prior episode. But this kind of follows that discussion. But first, we're going to talk about why Roman Reigns was not pushed or traded to SmackDown in WWE Superstar Shakeup. And this comes from Wrestling Observer Newsletter. We noted before that Bray Wyatt's Superstar Shakeup move to Raw roster appeared to be a late decision, as his House of Horrors match with WWE Champion Randy Orton, now announced for the April 30th Payback pay-per-view, was originally being planned for the May 21st Backlash pay-per-view for SmackDown. The Wrestling Observer Newsletter notes that a lot of the changes were last minute, but some of the changes had been locked for some time. Wyatt apparently replaced AJ Styles, who had been penciled in for a move to Raw going back several months ago. Besides Styles, there was also a plan to move Roman Reigns, and that move was still being discussed as of late. It was noted that moving Reigns to the blue brand would also require them to move Braun Strowman and WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, as top summer storylines involve Strowman working against Reigns to get to Strowman versus Lesnar, while keeping Reigns versus Lesnar alive with the idea of keeping them apart as long as possible. WWE officials are still planning on doing Reigns versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. Oh, God. Nobody wants to see that match. I wish they would get it through their fucking head. And it will be a main event. You can guarantee it's going to be a main event with Vince McMahon riding Roman Reigns' dick all the way down the ramp and into the ring. Regarding the April 30th Payback pay-per-view, the original main event was Reigns versus Strowman, and that match may be added to the card still, perhaps with a stretcher or ambulance match stipulation. The Observer notes that it doesn't make sense to keep Reigns versus Strowman off Backlash, as the next Raw brand pay-per-view isn't scheduled until June 4th. Extreme Rules and Strowman versus Lesnar has been scheduled for June or July. Reigns versus Strowman was to come before Strowman versus Reigns. It's possible Reigns versus Strowman doesn't happen until Extreme Rules, which would put Strowman versus Lesnar at the July 9th Bad Blood pay-per-view. And goddamn, that was a fucking mouthful. Holy shit. Tongue-tied the fuck out of me, but I pulled it through, man. I pulled it fucking through. Goddamn, that's a lot of back and forth. Everyone knows my thoughts. They built Roman Reigns up like Superman. Now, I was actually surprised after the segment on this week's Raw where he was attacked by Braun Strowman, thrown around like a rag doll, thrown off the loading dock bay, and then the piece de resistance, the 1,800-pound ambulance being tipped on its side to put the cream on the cake. I was shocked he didn't get back up on his feet, walk out of that ambulance, and it's like, oh shit, Superman's wearing his cape again. We're gonna have to put up with another fucking Superman punch, and he overcomes Braun Strowman once again. Surprisingly, that did not happen. Shockingly, it did not happen. And I was happy about that. I did. I actually finally thought they did it right. But I'm going to say this. Lesnar versus Reigns at WrestleMania 34. I don't know why this match is so needed. No one wanted to see Reigns against Undertaker this year. No one wanted to see Reigns going over on Undertaker, and I know Undertaker is of the old guard, and he believes that when a legend goes out, he goes out on his back, looking up at the lights. But that was the wrong guy for that match. It could have been any other wrestler, but it did not make sense. And now they're already billing it as another "this is my yard" feud with Strowman and Reigns. And we know that's all going to tie back into Lesnar. This ain't your yard. This is Suplex City. You know, you can see it happening. You can see this shit happening. And it's not wanted. But we're going to get it crammed down our throats anyway. And us podcasters, we're going to bitch about it. We're going to complain about it. It's going to stay relevant because we know what we want to see. We hate the shit that they're giving us. Raw looks like crap. SmackDown, it's a little bit better. They give us a little bit more of what we like to see. They don't give us exactly what we want, but they give us more of what we want to see in a wrestling product. And then you have NXT, which should be 2 hours, and it would blow the doors off of Raw and SmackDown at the same time. Triple H and William Regal are doing such a great job with NXT. I would rather have them do NXT as its own brand instead of a feeder brand. And let's see exactly how the ratings would look with an NXT that was 2 hours competing against Raw and SmackDown. And then move SmackDown over to Friday night so that way there's a little bit of a breather. Guaranteed NXT kicks ass over Raw and SmackDown. Guaranteed. They do a lot better than giving us matches that we don't want to see. Nobody wants to see this. Moving on. Alexa Bliss, on when she found out exactly when she was going to Raw. She also discusses the 80-yard WrestleMania ramp. And also a little bit about leaving SmackDown. I do like reading these interviews. Not many of these podcasters do it. I like to try and do something a little bit different. Like I said, next week we're going to do This Day in Wrestling, and it'll be on one of the shows. I do part 1, part 2, part 3, and maybe an extra if there's enough news out there. Today, this is an extra. So, Alexa Bliss spoke with Fox Sports on a number of wrestling topics. Here are just some of the highlights. She goes to say when she found out about moving to Raw, and these are her words, "I found out pretty much that morning. The night before we got travel, and we're going to be able to travel where Raw was. I wasn't sure if they were bringing people in to kind of throw us off, or if we were actually being drafted to Raw. I don't call it a draft, I call it a trade. To me, that's what it resembled as a trade. It wasn't a draft, it was a trade. And it should have been taken care of a hell of a lot more than what it was." She goes on to say, it was really cool because I've done a lot on SmackDown, and now it gives me an opportunity to see what now I can do on Raw. The next question was who she will miss from SmackDown. Now, if she answered this role as a heel, she's saying not a damn single soul. But she won't. "I'm going to miss all the girls, obviously. I used to travel with Carmella a lot. I'm going to miss traveling with her. We had a lot of funny road stories. I'm going to miss the Usos. Everyone's just so fun and hardworking and funny. The live events were a lot of fun. I was going to say Miz and Maurice, but they actually moved to Raw as well. So I don't miss them. They're awesome as well. They're a couple of characters. I love it." Moving on, she talks about the 80-yard WrestleMania 33 ramp. And yes, it was ridiculously long. I believe everyone thought it was ridiculously long. She goes on to say, "Oh my gosh, it was so long. So here's the thing, too. I'm 5 foot, and I'm all torso, and my 5 foot... Oh, I'm all torso of my 5 foot. My legs are real short, so everyone of one person's steps are like 2 of mine. So it took, I felt like, twice as long to get down that ramp. I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing is so long. I need a golf cart or something to take me down." Well, considering that Sasha Banks used a golf cart, yes, it was a tricked out golf cart resembling a rich person's Rolls Royce type deal, I believe it was. Her lazy ass didn't have to walk down the ramp, but all these other women and all the other superstars had to make this long travel down the 80-yard ramp. And just remember, she could have been as unfortunate as Randy Orton by riding a sperm down to ringside. Yes, Randy Orton's exact words on his entrance. They had an image of what was supposed to be a snake traveling between his feet down the ring with him, and it looked like an oversized sperm. He was not a happy camper. I guess I wouldn't have been either. My thoughts on this article, though, I'm glad to see Alexa Bliss in the Raw roster. I think she achieved everything she could achieve on SmackDown, and I'm hoping this brings better feuds. I love Alexa Bliss as she is. She's got the right personality to be a heel. She's got that really good bitchiness to her. And her mannerisms and her facial expressions when she's talking to someone, pitch perfect. I love it. There are times where she's a little bit cringe, but I can be that way too, doing this show. I sometimes fall flat. It happens. But overall, Alexa Bliss does wonders for the women's roster on Raw. Enough said. Now we're going to jump back to Roman Reigns. The injured Roman Reigns is out spearing Braun Strowman through tables at live house shows. And that monkey-ass motherfucking brain-dead twit that started the petition to have Braun Strowman fired for this attack on Monday night believed that he was seriously hurt. And he's spearing people at live shows. Let's talk about it. Braun Strowman laid an epic beatdown on Roman Reigns this past Monday night on Raw. When WWE delivered the standard injury update, they said he was dealing with internal injuries, cracked ribs, and a possibly separated shoulder. They later upgraded to a confirmed separated shoulder. Now, for all you jock monkeys who believe every word spoken or what your eyes see in pro wrestling, Superman donned his cape once again and was able to put Strowman through a table at a WWE house show in Providence, Rhode Island. Reigns is sporting a cast on his upper left arm, but he's not missing any time. So what does that tell you? It tells you it was a complete work. There was nothing wrong with him. He's got to have a little bit of bandages. They described it as a cast, but it will be bandages wrapping up his arm and his shoulder. It is not a legit injury. Now, if he did suffer a minor injury by the way he was being tossed around, I could see that. That's why they would have it wrapped up to protect a little bit of an injury that was there. But Jesus Christ, people, this is professional wrestling. This is not real life. So if you are going to see something on wrestling, don't believe that it is 100% fact, 100% real life, because I promise you, you're going to be wrong 98% of the time. Now, there are incidences where there are accidents, or two wrestlers have an actual beef with one another, and it will come out in a match. That is a possibility. That is why I said 98% of the time. But overall, what you see on TV, these guys train to put their body through it. They train how to fall, how to take a bump. And when it comes to an extreme thing such as they did with Roman and Braun Strowman this past Monday, they are going to do body swaps where you're going to see a dummy getting thrown off a loading dock. They are not going to risk their cash cow, who they believe is their cash cow, in Roman Reigns. Now, back in the day, if it was Mick Foley, he probably would have been staying on the gurney and said, "Let's go for a ride." You know, I could see that happening. But this is not the Attitude Era. These are not the days of Mankind, of Mick Foley. Yes, they're the same guy. Of Stone Cold, The Rock. These are not those days. We're not going to see that kind of pro wrestling where they actually take chair shots to the head, where they're going to bleed massively. We're not going to see that these days anymore. So, if you're going to believe what you see on TV, case in point, my mother. Yes, I like bringing her up in my podcast because it is a funny thing to discuss with my mother, is a WWE event. Because I swear this woman believes what she sees is 100% fact. It is like this woman that started the petition. I could see if my mother was younger and if she was watching like she is now, I could actually probably see her doing something like that. Possibly. It's my mother. I'll give her a little bit of credit, you know. I apologize, Ma. I don't mean every word I say. Kind of. Mauro Ranallo returns to the broadcast booth, but not for WWE. Now everybody has heard the huge controversy between JBL and Mauro Ranallo. And I am going to stand fast and keep on saying #fire JBL. The guy is a guy that does not belong on the commentating table. He doesn't do a good job. Nobody likes to hear him. He's not really playing a heel if this is the way he talks 98% of the time. Everyone says what you hear at the commentator table is the same thing you hear at the buffet table, at the catering truck, at wherever they go. This is the way he is. Now, there was another story I was thinking about talking about today. But I have done the JBL bit to death. I know it is trending right now. I understand it is hot news. But believe me, there are not many people that want to hear about it anymore, no matter how much it is trending. I'm seriously one of those guys. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. That is why I did not grab the other clip. It was other wrestlers discussing JBL and his bullying tactics. Didn't want to go on about it. But I like to see Mauro Ranallo moving on. That's what we got. This guy belongs at a WWE commentator booth because we don't have JR anymore. We've got him back for a couple of years, but it is not full-time. It is just part-time, and he's only going to be covering a certain amount of shows a year. And I believe that was only 12 shows this year. So they're probably going to be mainly pay-per-views. Mainly. But we're discussing Mauro Ranallo. So, while all is still quiet on the WWE front, Rizin, a mixed martial arts organization, announced on Facebook that Mauro Ranallo would return to the broadcast booth to call an upcoming show. Here is what they said. Veteran combat sports announcer Mauro Ranallo and legendary MMA pioneer and former middleweight champion Frank Shamrock reunite for the pay-per-view broadcast of Rizin, live from Yokohama, Japan. The event will air on Fight TV, spelt F-I-T-E, TV, on April 16th, Sunday, 2 a.m. Eastern Time, April 15th, Saturday, 11 p.m. Pacific Time, with a one-month replay. Now, this is notable because it makes clear Ranallo is healthy enough to return to work, and he's still not returning to WWE, where he had been the lead announcer on SmackDown Live. Why he's gone has been the subject of various rumors and reports, with most coming down on bullying from JBL. Mauro hasn't commented publicly outside of vague tweets that seem to all but confirm said rumors and reports. The Wrestling Observer is now reporting there are contract settlement talks with WWE that would preclude Ranallo from speaking publicly about the situation. Altogether, it looks like Ranallo is done with the company, which may be best for all involved, especially if he's happier to be getting back to working outside the company. My thoughts. Of course, WWE wants him to be silent about these bullying tactics. A company that supports anti-bullying and anti-hate would simply be frowned upon. You know what? People are frowning on them as it is right now. You have a trend on Twitter, you have a trend on YouTube and on Facebook about people wanting you to fire a bully that is in your employ. That employee is JBL. Now, when all these stories started coming out after the Mauro Ranallo incident, you've got Justin Roberts, you've got Johnny Nitro, now Johnny Mundo talking about it. You've got a bunch of people. Even Edge has discussed it. He was being bullied until he stood up for himself. Sin Cara. Come on, like there is a long line of people who have discussed the history of JBL's bullying tactics. And yet you keep this guy around. You caused one of your best commentators to walk away from your company because of being bullied. Now, I'm sick and tired of hearing about it, but I am going to speak my mind. And if I was Ranallo, I would speak my mind about it. I wouldn't give a shit. What are they going to do? Fire him? He's already quit. What are they going to do? Sue him? He could sue them. Like, give me a break. It is... Why stay quiet about it? If you want to be a company that supports anti-bullying and anti-hate, then you have to stand up for those same rights in your company and make sure that shit isn't going down. I recently had an experience with one of my daughters. She'd gotten some trouble with another girl in the town we live in. And I don't know exactly what went down, but they got angry with each other. There was threats thrown back. My daughter used some racial remarks. Now, when she came home, I heard about it. And she's a girl that gets involved in a lot of drama. But when I heard the racial remarks, that's what set me off. I am not a racist man. I did not raise my kids to be racist. I have had friends. I have friends now that are black, brown, yellow, red. You name it. I don't give a shit about color. Because when I cut myself, when they cut themselves, it is the same color blood underneath that skin. And I raised my kids to look at it that way as well. We are all people. We should not be looked at by our color, by our culture, or by any other means other than being human. And it pisses me off, and I mean I flipped out in a big way when I heard she used racial remarks because she got angry. I'm not going to say what she said, but it was too far. Now, the girl did threaten her with a hammer, but still, I would have punched the person in the throat before I would have gone racial. I don't approve of it. I don't approve of bullying. I was never a bully. When I was growing up, until I was 16 years old, I was a sickly kid. My wife is right now 115 pounds, and I was probably about that size. She is roughly 5'10". I was about there as well at 16. I was puny, I was sickly, and everyone thought they could pick on me until they realized what type of person I was. I grew up in a family where you fight for everything. So when people decided they thought I was a pushover, I showed them who I was. And as I got older, I didn't look at the small people on the playgrounds or at school and high school. I didn't look at those people. I didn't look at them and look at them with disrespect. Because it can be any little little person. No matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, no matter what culture you live in, any little person can walk up to any big guy and whoop that sumbitch's ass. With me, my bad attitude when I was a kid, I looked at the biggest kid on the playground and I said, that's the sumbitch I'm knocking out today. And I did it. And I loved every fucking moment of it. I didn't mind if I got my ass handed to me at times. It was just a little bit more fun to me. So, when I hear about bullying, when I hear about racial remarks, racism, and just being a complete dickhead, it upsets me. You go and want to make someone feel bad because they did better than you in something else, as in the case of JBL, Mauro, Ranallo. You need to get your head out of your ass. You need to quit the company you're working for and get on a better track of life than the one you're living, because obviously the one you're living is making you a miserable fucking cunt. That is my rant for this evening. I appreciate everyone that's been watching. I appreciate all the subscribers that have come my way. I would appreciate it if people continued to watch, subscribe, as well as like. I am a consistent motherfucker. You will see every day of the week except for Sunday that I've got videos up. Once, twice a day sometimes. So keep on watching and find out what's going to come next. Remember, check the description for any new ways to contact me on social media. Have a good night, everyone. I'm out.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
This is Pillar 2 Post.